Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Debris Podcast with me, your host, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK. Thank you for joining me once again. For all of those that are new, please go check out my Twitter at RMK Madness. That's right. You can find all my content there. But here, Miscellaneous Debris, we're ramping up Season 2, ramping up 2021. And for any newbies, anybody that might be checking this out for the first time, I'm probably going to do this for a few episodes to begin the year. But for the new peeps, it's a funny word. I am a writer, a fantasy football writer / analyst, and I write sci-fi. I'm also a musician and an aspiring comedian. And so I use my Twitter basically to do a little bit of my fantasy football stuff, but also to push my, comedic aspirations as well. And so I do this podcast, and it's a bit of a, variety hour type deal where I just, talk about random shit. It's a mixed bag here. And, I'm a little bit out there, a little bit crazy. Mad, you might say, and I like to talk, hence the name Mad Chatter. And Miscellaneous Debris is just my playground where I can, chat about random things. Obviously, a big chunk of 2020 was devoted to pandemic and Trump stuff, and 2021 continues to start out that way, but relax and enjoy. New people. Get used to the show, and you can become a madcap yourself. I know that sounds ridiculous, but or you could just hate on it, instead of enjoying my mad ranting and the way I do things. You can hate on it, like someone did. See, in my fantasy football area, in that particular area, I write for playerprofiler.com. It's one of the top fantasy football websites, and I'm very honored to be writing for them. Now, my boss there received an email today from someone who had a bunch of complaints about me. Now, it's funny because a lot of this shit, I have no idea what they're saying. So let me just read. Good morning. Thank you for your response. I'm actually a fan of the site and team in reference to most of the articles. My apologies if my message came across with any desire to attack an article. I wanted to provide feedback in reference to one of your writers named Ryan MK. That would be me, obviously. I understand that you may receive many requests for submission of articles in which it can be a tough decision on selection, etc. I am also sure that your team takes pride of its reputation as well. However, I wanted to bring to your attention of some harmful actions by Ryan MK. Well, this is news to me. I mean, I've admitted several times before I need to be more active on social media. So I'm confused as to what these harmful actions might be. But they go on. I do not want your team, website, etc. to be shocked with other feedback and or get labeled as a team who endorses or ignores rude, harmful, and degrading actions by its team. Ryan MK has had multiple incidents with degrading citizens. That's a weird choice of word. Degrading citizens who inquire and or provide feedback on his material and or behavior. It has also been brought to my attention that YouTube has also received feedback and removed some of his uploads as a result of him promoting drug usage and also profane language. Now, here's a few things. You can say the content is it's explicit, and I make sure to mark that stuff. Hey, this video's not for kids. Hey, this podcast is explicit. I make sure to mark that stuff. And let's be honest, I make fun of myself all day. If you're not new, if you've been around for a minute, if you've been listening, I make fun of myself all the time for the lack of listeners. This whole thing I'm doing is a work in progress. I'm building it up. what fucking comments and feedback is she talking about? I don't get much. Like, what are these people talking? I and it doesn't YouTube notify you if they have to remove your shit or anything like. I've removed some of my own videos, older ones, just to make space or whatever, because again, I have a lot of memory issues with my damn iPod. So that's that iPad, iPod. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Don't eat the iPod. It's one of the warnings on the website for some reason. We'll get into warning labels here in a minute. But the email's not done. He continues to brag about being stoned, etc., while delivering football content. I don't know that I brag. I just occasionally smoke on the pod. I didn't realize there was a problem with that. I hope you can share the concern of parents and other citizens, there's that word, citizens again, which with such foul content being displayed. In addition, Ryan MK has made comments against your team as well, even while getting articles published. Tara and others suggested anonymously reaching out in efforts to protect your team, but also take a stand against Ryan MK. I am sure that your team continues to want factual articles of people that represent your team in a positive and professional manner. I encourage you to be cautious of future opportunities, as there has also been incidents that you may not be aware of in reference to his community and place of employment as well. More details can be provided, but wanted to reach out as this is a new year and exciting times for many websites, channels, etc. to bring new content and to show off great team members. Thanks in advance for your understanding and consideration. That's a lot to unload. In reference to my community and place of employments as well. How, is this like, who the fuck is this that they know about my job and all? I don't know. This to me has got to be either someone I know that I've pissed off, which is very possible, or perhaps it is just some Trumper that I've pissed off because I'm constantly saying things like, because there's the only degrading, like, I don't know what they're talking about, degrading citizens that attempt to provide feedback. Again, I don't get that much feedback. People want to make comments and provide, I'm all about it. Give me some comments and feedback. I don't get much. So, what? That's bullshit. I talk about the team that while getting, what are they talking about? I don't understand any of it. And I'll admit, at first, this email kind of pissed me off. I don't appreciate false accusations. Other than I'm a pothead, I'm not sure what in there has any truth. Oh, and foul language. I guess I do use bad language. I say fuck a lot. But there's lots of pods out there that do. Like, this really blows my mind. On the other hand, let's get past the anger, and I'm like, well, fuck. Once again, making fun of myself. I honestly didn't think I was relevant enough to make someone so angry that they would try and cost me my job. Crazy people out there. I don't know. So there's that. I guess I'm somewhat relevant. Whatever. So, that's right. Somebody's out there hating on me, trying to attack me, my personals. Even though there's zero evidence. I'd love to see some screenshots of something I've said or tweeted. Like, do they have any evidence of this degrading that I've... Like, I really pissed somebody off, I guess. So, You can, you can just relax and enjoy what I'm trying to do here, or you can hate on me like that individual. With that said, I hope everyone is well. It's been pretty good here, the Madhouse MK. Crazy people emails aside. I've watched, the past week or so, I've watched a lot of older movies. We actually just today, with the kids, watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's been a while since I've seen that one. Fucking great movie. Still stands, still holds up to me. It's good shit. Although I did find it confusing. In this day and age where you can't have music on podcasts for certain rights and you can't do this and you can't do that. And they had every single one of those goddamn cartoon characters in that movie. They did. I was looking at it and I'm like, well, there's Bugs Bunny next to Mickey Mouse. And what the fuck's going on here? Like, that could never happen in this day and age because there'd be so much fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how did they pull that off back then? Was those kinds of things, those kinds of laws just were either didn't exist or were not as stringent as they are now. Because that was crazy to me a little bit. Watching at the end of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, all the damn different cartoons that were in there, and I'm like, this is a crossing of multiple universes. This can't happen. But it did. And then Mortal Kombat, watched that recently. We're actually going to show the kids Willow coming up next. That's a good one. I haven't seen that in a long time. And I hear they're doing a Willow series. I think that should be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that. The Lethal Weapon movies, those were playing on TV today. I watched some of those at night. I checked some of this shit out before. See, a lot of these, they hit home for me. They hit a certain spot for me. Because it's just these old, late 80s, early 90s movies. I guess mostly early 90s, sorry. But they hit home for me in a way because my dad growing up, I reached a certain age as the oldest son that my dad, I'm not sure, I believe I know what was behind it now, but he would allow me to come out because he was a night owl. He would stay up after my mom went to bed. My mom was a nurse, would always go to bed very early because she had to work very early. My dad stayed up late. And at a point in time, he would start letting me sneak out of bed to come hang out with him and watch movies. So I'm watching all these awesome rated R movies that my mother would probably otherwise not have wanted me to watch. And I saw a lot of cool stuff. This is how I saw the Alien and Predator movies and the aforementioned Lethal Weapons, Terminators, Die Hards, lots of stuff. A couple of times he even took me to the movie theater super late at night. Jurassic Park. We went and saw a midnight showing of Jurassic Park, a midnight showing of Tombstone. Couple of my favorite movies. So all that it really hits home for me. So I really get into that. But I also watched something just last night. Not in the same vein as those kinds of movies. This came out a little more recently. And by the by, should you realize, how is he watching all this shit? This podcast just came out this morning. No. Once again, for those who are new, I tend to record late at night. I'm a bit of a night owl myself, like father, like son. And so I do my podcasting at night. So oftentimes, I forget that. And I'm speaking of today as in when I'm recording it, as opposed to the day it's going to come out. So it happens. Whatever. But man, I watched the movie Legion. I forgot how much I enjoyed it. Now, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty kick-ass. It's got some religious undertones, but it's something I'm not normally into, but it's creepy as fuck. Basically, God is mad at all the humans and is like, fuck him. And he sends a bunch of angels down to Earth to kill all the humans, to end humanity. And they come in some really fucked up version. It's crazy. Paul Bettany plays the lone angel who's going against God's orders because he doesn't believe that's what God wants in his heart. It's got Dennis Quaid, who I'm no longer really a fan of, due to his Trumper status. But then it's got Charles S. Dutton. I love me some Charles S. Dutton. Some good actors. It's a good movie. It's a little bit intense. I enjoy it. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. But I end up watching a lot of older stuff. I don't know. We tend to procrastinate around here, and a lot of it is on me. Because we have all these fucking movies to watch. These new movies. We have a list. I mean, we're diehard Batman fans. We still haven't seen the new Joker movie. We still haven't seen Birds of Prey. What is going on? I don't know. We tend to go to reruns that, shit we've seen before. And I think a lot lately is they're so stressed. 2020 was a crazy year. A lot happened. Things were difficult for many people. And it's just been hard to just sit and watch. For me, I guess it's been difficult to just sit for an extended period of time without having to get up and doing a little bit of walking around. But it's just easier to have something on and playing that I've seen before, so I don't have to worry about focusing. I know that sounds terrible, but maybe lately I just got so much shit running in my head I don't feel like focusing on a movie, that I haven't seen. So it's easier to play something I have seen and just enjoy the bits that I catch. Perhaps I just need to slow my roll across the board, right? Perhaps. But we've just procrastinated on so much stuff that we normally don't. For Christmas, got a few new board games. We haven't even checked those out yet, one of which is called Throw Burrito. Now, this game, it looks fun as shit. And it's made by the people who do Exploding Kittens. Now, if you haven't played Exploding Kittens, I've talked previously about my love for board games and my wife's love for board games and how we have a mountain of board games. And some of my favorites are the Exploding Kitten games. Now, this company, the first ones they came out with was Exploding Kittens. Badass card game. Then they came out with Bears vs. Babies, another badass card game. And then you've got Crabs, which is a little more complicated, and you have to have at least 4 people, so I haven't played that one as much. But this is their newest one, Throw Burrito, and our love for board games is normally something we're into right away. Still, Christmas, it's been a couple of weeks, and we're still sitting here. This game has not been played yet. That's not like us. So we're procrastinating all over the place. But you know who's not procrastinating? The House Democrats. That's right. Yeah, that's right. House Dems. They're trying to get on this shit after all the Capitol chaos. Doesn't sound like Pence gonna invoke that 25th Amendment. So the House Dems have approved that. They approve the invoking of the 25th Amendment, but it looks like what they're going to be doing is pushing impeachment. Drafted all the articles, it sounds like, and next up is a vote. And that should be today, Wednesday, the actual day this comes out, not when I'm recording it late Tuesday night, which technically, past midnight, would still be Wednesday. So, yes, today. So they vote on that. And we'll have to see what happens. And people don't realize that, Trump would lose out on a lot of money if he were impeached. He'd lose out on a lot of benefits. And the biggest one being that he wouldn't be able to run for president in 2024. Now, there's a good chance he's not going to do that anyway. But this would make sure that he can't. Now, maybe one of the other Trumps rises to the occasion. I mean, Ivanka's been talking about it. She's even planning on going to Biden's inauguration, right? And while her dad must view that as a terrible decision, that she'll lose support over it, she's looking at it as, hey, no. I'm just trying to make peace here. I'm just trying to do the right thing, be courteous here. Everyone is distancing themselves. So there's a good chance. Yeah, I mean, even the PGA Tour, there's been stuff all over. Banks, like they just people are done with the motherfucker. So he might not be able to run in 2024 regardless. But I'm all down for the impeachment if they can get it to happen. It sounds a tough task, but they're determined. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, the Capitol terrorists are being rounded up. And this is great. Get these fuckers up. And I saw this great video. I believe my wife showed it to me. Or no, I saw it on Reddit maybe. I'm always confused about where they see this shit. But it was a TikTok user explaining that, basically how the Wi-Fi and security and all of that is set up at the Capitol, and that all you had to do was be there with your phone. That's it. It might not be now, it might be later, but they're going to know. They're going to know. So, there we go. They're going to come for you. They're going to get you. They're going to come for you. They're going to get you. That's right. They've already got some. They got the horny guy. But it turns out he's also a vegan. Horny vegan. And the horny vegan apparently was refusing to eat in jail because it wasn't organic food. And eventually, he got a judge to agree to make them give him organic food. I wonder if that was a black guy wanting organic food, what would the judge do then? WWJD, what would judge do in that circumstance? There's a guy arrested at an airport. Well, there were several airport arrestings, but there's one in particular, and they got him on the ground, and he's like, "What are you doing? This is how you treat black people, not me." Something along those lines. Like, it's funny how often they contradict themselves. Like, they're all about back the blue when it's the police dealing with peaceful protesters, and hey, just don't break the law. Don't do this. Don't do that. But they stormed the Capitol building. It blows my mind. It's just another, like, there's no racism in this. No. The police don't treat blacks any different. No. They say that shit, and then in the same breath, like this guy, like, why are you treating me like you treat black people? What the fuck? The hypocrisy knows no bounds. Speaking of Tombstone, that's a line from Tombstone. Val Kilmer. The hypocrisy knows no bounds. Val Kilmer is Doc Holliday. Love that fucking movie. Anyway. I keep thinking about this death by testicular tasering. This guy who was trying to steal some shit, had his taser in between his thighs and tased his nuts to the point that he died of cardiac arrest. Like, what the fuck? Like, it made me realize that these people, these Trumpers, it's statistically, they're uneducated. Doesn't mean all of them are stupid, but it definitely means they're uneducated. This can be factually backed up, that statement. And so, you have these uneducated people, and these have to be the same people. If you think about warning labels on all the products that we have, that we use every single day. And you see something like, don't put near an open flame. Don't swallow. Don't fold up your baby in the stroller. Remove baby from stroller before folding. Shit like that, right? And those exist in part because at some point some asshole did the thing. And these Trumpers, these are the people who do the things. It's very clear. They also do stupid shit like carving Trump into a manatee For fuck's sake. Like how, like, it blows my mind. Trump said he'd run as a Republican because they're the stupidest voters, and they're just proving that correct. There's one thing Trump was right about. And also, most of these people, you think these people would be welcomed by him in like his country club or something? They don't even realize they're being manipulated and used. It's the craziest shit, and they call everybody else sheep. It's crazy. The FBI hard at work collecting these fuckers, but they're not in the clear. Not in the clear. Because these extremists, it doesn't seem like they plan on stopping. No matter how much I think they're fucking ignorant and have been manipulated and are stupid, they are pissed. And they do feel wronged. And they want their country back. It's clear. I mean, all the Confederate flags, they want to drag this shit back to the Civil War era. That's what they're trying. And, I mean, you got to be happy with some of this. Like, we're so close to a Biden presidency, and a lot of these, capital anarchists, they're getting dealt with. But you got to wonder. I've often compared some of what's gone on to Nazi Germany in this country, because many similarities there are between Hitler and Trump. Now, the thing is, Trump doesn't have nearly the intelligence or charisma that Hitler had. And I'm not trying to necessarily speak well of Hitler because, one of the biggest garbage human beings in history. But that's how he got people to buy in. Because he knew how to speak to them. He knew how to manipulate them. And Trump does, and has done to an extent. But he's also bungled shit along the way so bad that he's lost so much support. Now, could he turn that around? Well, Hitler, at one point in time, was arrested for treason, spent 5 years in prison. This is actually when he wrote Mein Kampf. And once he got out, he was able to strengthen the Nazi party, make it a legitimate party, and eventually took over the fucking country, and the rest is literally history. So, while some of this can be, put to a positive spin, I do have to say I don't feel in the clear yet. Whew. Gotta keep an eye out for these fuckers. Because they won't stop. No. And they are determined. Fucking determined. Because they really do. They feel wronged. And yet, when it was others who felt wronged, what did they say? Quit crying. You lost. Should really heed their own advice here. Yeah. You know who should really feel wronged here? Student athletes. Let me get into a little bit of sports chatter real quick. I mean, that was a shit college football season. No, I mean, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to college football. See, I do the whole fantasy football thing, but I can't get into college football, in part because I just don't think the product is as good. That's my personal opinion. And then, second of all, I just don't like the whole student athlete thing, just the dirtiness. Don't get me wrong. I've talked about this before. Quite a few times, probably on previous podcasts, but just the dirty underbelly of sports. And it's ever so prevalent in collegiate sports, particularly because these students are basically, and in this year, going and risking themselves during a fucking pandemic to play football when they don't even get paid. And if they get hurt, it could mess up their future in so many ways. It's just, and if you don't want to go the route of paying players, that's okay. I can live with that if we just make sure they can make money off their own likeness. If you don't want them to get paid but by these universities to play, if that's not what they want to do, okay. But at least don't stop them from selling signed autographed jerseys of themselves. Things like that. Don't stop them from making money off of their name and likeness. Allow them to have jerseys of themselves so that they can make a profit of that. Let them do those things. They can get in fucking trouble just for taking money from somebody, even if it's a money gift. I think that needs to go away. If you don't want to pay them, at least allow them to do that. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm done. I won't make that rant again for a while, since college football is over. So Alabama wins another fucking title. Who cares? But for the pro football, we got the divisional playoffs coming up. You got the Rams at the Packers, Ravens at the Bills, Browns at the Chiefs, and then you got the Old Man Bowl, Tom Brady and the Bucs at New Orleans with Drew Brees. That should be interesting. I like the little graphic going around social media because they had the football game last week on Nickelodeon. So talking about having this one on the History Channel. And they gave Tom Brady and Drew Brees, the two quarterbacks, obviously. If you don't care about sports, just ignore me for a minute. But again, I'm pictures with beards and stuff and really playing up the whole, these old fuckers are really meaning the play. Pretty interesting. And, I mentioned several times my fantasy football stuff, and I do have another pod. But that is ending. I'm actually putting out the finale of that podcast today. Or no, it came out yesterday. Sorry. Reposting it today. But that's going to be my finale, and then I'm kind of doing a little bit of a relaunch. Getting a new pod going with a new look, new name, new setup, and just some new things I'm going to be trying. So, I'm going to be relaunching that Super Bowl week. So if you are into football in any way, particularly fantasy football, then please make sure to keep your eyes out for that. On my Twitter, of course, at RMKMadness. And then to the world of pro graps. And if you know me, I love those pro graps, the wrestling, professional wrestling. Now, I'm not a WWE fan. Multiple reasons. Not only do I think McMahon's not a great person and his company's kind of a shit company, but the product overall is not nearly as good as my favorite, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm also a fan of All Elite Wrestling. But one of New Japan, their top wrestlers, may be leaving the company. His contract is up. What's going on here? A lot of mystery to this. And if you're into this, you could be thinking, man, I hope he comes to WWE. If he's from New Japan, he's going to be awesome. And if you're a New Japan fan, you're thinking, fuck, man, don't go there. What are you doing, Jay? Stay, Jay. Say no to McMahon. Stay in New Japan. Please, Jay. Jay White. Okay, my sports ranting is over. Say no to McMahon, Jay. Say no to McMahon. Stay in New Japan. I had not realized I would say something that would rhyme there, but it's kind of cool that it did. Moving on.
May I please have your attention? The store will be closing in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's about that time. Let's close up shop. Close up shop, get this pod over with. Finish up the week. Go into a nice, relaxing weekend. As mentioned, with some football playoffs. But don't forget this week. This week's not over. Got some good shit to watch. BattleBots. That was back. Great episode last week. Excited for that. That'll be on Thursday. And I found out in last week's episode that they're only going to have 3 matches apiece. So it's going to be a bit of a shortened season. Hopefully they make the playoff, the tournament aspect of it, a whole lot of fun. And they do have some extra stuff going on with that new Discovery Plus. If you check that out, they've got extra BattleBots content on there. No, I don't get paid to advertise it or promote it or anything like that. I just love me some fucking BattleBots. Just love me some. And I do think Discovery Plus look ended. I mean, that's my shit right there. That's my kind of stuff. Also, on Wednesday, you got the challenge. Now, I don't know who's all into that. And I'll be honest, it wasn't something I was previously super into. But my wife's got me into it. I'll be honest. She watches The Big Brother. And I back in the day, I had a girlfriend that watched Real World, and I could never really get into that. But then I saw Road Rules, and that was a little bit different. The competitions and things like that. I could get down for a little bit of Road Rules, and then they started doing the Real World versus Road Rules Challenge, and it's just evolved and morphed into what it's become today, where it's the challenge, and they can have people from all sorts of different shows, and Survivor, and all these different shows, Big Brother, everything. And it's enjoyable. I'm still not the biggest on all the drama and shit like that, but when it comes down to the competition aspects and how people approach it mentally and things like that, it is kind of a fun show to watch. I've been enjoying it. So, a couple of things to watch on the way to the weekend where we get some football. Or, those of us who like football gets to football. Anyway. So I mentioned we got the new fantasy football pod I'm going to launch here in a couple of weeks. We're ramping up season 2 of Miscellaneous Debris. And also finally have my logo out there. If you haven't seen on Instagram, on Twitter, at RMK Madness, I got that up as the profile picture now. And hey, we got a lot of things coming. Patreon soon to come, finally. Since I finally got the logo, we're going to get that shit launched 2021. 2021 is going to be the year of the chatter. So, I hope you come along for the ride and help experience this journey with me as we look to ascend in 2021. That's right. So I'm going to wrap things up and thank everyone for joining me. If you're new, I hope you stick around and you like what you heard. If you're not, well, thanks for still being here. But like I said, there can't be that many of you. Otherwise, I would have all these comments and, feedback to, talk shit to, and I'd have all these citizens to degrade, right? Oh, shit. Part of me wants to find out who this fucker is, or at least get their I see their email. At least email them and go, what the fuck's your problem? Huh? Where's this evidence? Just out of curiosity. Oh, but thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And as always, much love to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. That's right. And a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll try and do the same. I assure you. So, until then, stay safe, stay vigilant, stay mad. That's right. We'll chat soon. Ta-ta for now. Laters! Don't forget, if you absolutely hated this podcast, please email Matt Kelly at profiler.com to make sure to complain about me. Thank you. Mad Chatter out.